Hello there.
Hey, how's it going?
Going all right. How about that Loki?
I saw that.
I saw that too. And we are
Welcome back.
here to talk about Loki season 2, episode 3 finally. Yay. And my goodness, we got Renslayer, we got Miss Minutes, we got a variant of He Who Remains, Victor Timely.
Can I just say I love the way they made you feel like you were back in that time. The intro music
Oh yeah.
was
Yeah.
old-timey. The chase scene had kind of whimsical chase music. Um, and of course wardrobe and set.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say so, even though I never lived over 100 years ago to know what it was like there. But yeah, yeah, sure.
Well, I'm guessing most of us, including our listener, was not alive 100 years ago either, but it's definitely a vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Which I gotta say, opening shot says Chicago. I was thinking of you.
Aw, thanks.
This was
Yeah,
your episode.
it was, that opening shot was prior to the Chicago fire,
Mm-hmm.
just by like 2.5, 3 years. And things are looking better since then. Happy to report. Happy to report.
From our eyes on the ground.
That's right.
So my goodness, it starts out on the sacred timeline, and then when it jumps ahead about 25 years, it's on a branch timeline, which brings up questions. When you say,
Wait, what do you mean? Hold on. Let's
yeah, yeah,
back up. You're saying the first time they went to Chicago was the main timeline, the sacred timeline.
yeah,
Why do you think that?
because it says so when the little Dayton location pops up, Chicago
Oh,
18, blah, 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 sacred timeline. And then when they go to the state fair, it says branch timeline.
dude, I totally tuned that out. I'm glad you pointed that out. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. I was like, well, that's interesting since He Who Remains clearly stated he's from the 31st century.
Well, yeah, the one we knew. True. So perhaps the dropping of the TVA guide through the window was the Nexus event that caused the timeline to branch, yeah?
Yeah, I say it definitely is, but still, it's like the same guy, what, like 1,000 and a couple hundred years separate from each other?
Yeah, I mean, that's how much variation it can be as to when he was alive, his various variants. Blah, blah. Hold on, let me straighten out my dentures. Okay, I'm back.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he didn't necessarily live at the same time in every timeline.
Yeah, but he's from this timeline, the sacred timeline. He stated himself from the 31st century, yet his kid form is all the way from the 1800s. It's like,
So maybe some time travel in there?
yeah, yeah, that or he's probably his own grandpa. So yeah, yeah, something like that.
Um, we don't know do we know what he's holding? His little model of an invention, his life's work?
Not yet. I didn't recognize its shape at all.
Well, there's that round thing that they were plugging into to fetch Loki from the timeline, like that
Yeah,
dome harpoon thing. Um, I don't know if that's it.
yeah. I mean, I don't know either, but yeah,
And if that's his life's work, then he doesn't know what else he's about to invent other than Miss Minutes is like, are there any drawings of me in your book? Like,
yeah.
not yet. He was very diplomatic during that whole love/power triangle. Weird.
And that brings me to one of my crazy theories.
Bring it.
Going back all the way to episode 1 of Loki season 1,
Hmm.
After Loki gets his Asgardian leather ripped off, and then he has to sign the papers about everything he's ever said ever, he's going to walk through a machine to get his temporal reading, which is why they're after this variant of He Who Remains. Which I gotta say, good callback of going all the way back to episode 1 for this season. But he has to, before he walks through the machine, he's asked, has he ever been or constantly know that he's a robot? Going all the way to this episode, we have Miss Minutes, a sentient AI able to reprogram herself, has been alive eons, has been closer to He Who Remains than anybody else has been.
Yeah.
And it's questioning why she never got a body. One kind of makes me think that episode 1 thing was to protect the TVA from a Miss Minutes with a body, and 2, maybe we will see a Miss Minutes with a body.
Interesting. Because I was just thinking before we got on our podcast,
Mm-hmm.
if she's this immensely powerful AI, then why didn't she connect to other things, other machines, basically, and have one create a body for her? Is it because he would know and prevent it from happening? Like, he never designed a body for her, but that doesn't mean she couldn't acquire a body. Perhaps he was
Mm-hmm.
also keeping her from doing that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the
So
universe that has Ultrons and Visions in it.
I think that's a great call. That's a great call. Can I say that I did do some investigating on your previous theory idea?
Oh no, she's gonna poke holes in my boat.
I went back and I looked at the next to last episode from season 1,
Mm-hmm.
where the older Loki, Richard, played by Richard Grant, brilliantly, um, he conjured the city,
Yeah,
right at the end of time, the illusion of a city.
yeah.
And as it came crashing down, when the monster was invading it, eating it, and then his hands were glowing green, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
saw it was coming for him, and he yelled, "Glorious purpose!"
Yeah.
His eyes began to water, or cry, perhaps you would say. And even prior to that, there was some green in his eyes, but it was not the green that I've seen in Loki eyes, like they're about to do something, as much as it was, in my opinion, a reflection of the green light coming from his hands. So I don't think that that was a projection of himself, but I really want to be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it could be we never see him again, but then again, these are comic book movies. They leave the door open for the possibility for everybody to come back.
Totally. When Loki and Sylvie and was it Mobius or B-15, they went and tore down the general's setup where they were blown up branches.
Yeah.
She did dodge the explosion. If you watch it carefully, she sees they're about to blow everything away, and
Mm-hmm.
she hides, and you could see her crouched in the scene even when everything, like the dust is clearing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's still alive.
Yeah. I thought they caught her, but I know that some of her people did get away.
Maybe they did catch her. Yeah,
Uh,
maybe they did.
I
Maybe
don't know.
I'm
That was one of the,
blocking.
like I said that before, that's one of the episodes where I felt like they're twiddling their thumbs a bit or spinning their
Mm,
wheels or whatever. But maybe I need to rewatch it. But I thought she got caught with some of her people. They did state that some did get away.
that's true. They were walking somebody in. I'm gonna check myself while you
Mhm.
share some other thoughts.
Well, I gotta say, I really did like Miss Minutes. It feels like that we definitely got a lot more background on her and what she is. Not fully what she's capable of yet, but maybe we've seen that already.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm glad that we see more of Renslayer and that we know what her goals are about keeping the TVA still functioning and trying to be like the second in command, the right hand of the He Who Remains, who will be again.
Yeah, great segue into a thought I also had about Renslayer, and that is, why do the people at the TVA do their jobs? I mean, we know that they get their memories wiped more than once, selectively, right? They can remember how to do their jobs, but maybe other things from their memories are wiped.
Or they're probably re-educated every time.
And assuming they get fed and, housed, they're just asleep or working,
Yeah,
right? They don't have social lives that we know of. And they've been working for literally eons, and somehow they don't age, I
that's the
guess.
power of time travel. I mean, they do
Well,
live in a space that's outside of time, so
exactly. They live in a space outside of time.
built
So,
by somebody who controls time. So, I mean, it's possible they keep your brain and body functioning while stopping the age factor.
but they are aware of the passage of time because a few people have said, I've been doing this for eons.
Yeah.
And she mentioned in her quest for power, Renslayer did, that
Hmm.
she's been doing it thanklessly
Hmm.
and she doesn't feel appreciated. I think she's acting on it in the wrong way, but one can understand not being appreciated. And speaking of being outside of time, when Sylvie kicks her through the door, kicks Renslayer through the time door to the end of time, we see that the Citadel is collapsing
Yeah.
and that he who remains is decaying, his body.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that.
But that is puzzling considering it's outside of time. I mean, I consider that to be outside of time. At the end is also adjacent to outside of time. If you can see the time branches in the distance in the sky, which you can, then I don't think you're on one.
The
And
way
why
I
would he
see it,
rot?
the way I see it is that that area is at the end of his planned sacred timeline, which is why at the end of season one, he said he has no idea what happens next and things start to branch out.
Right.
So it's like time could still keep going. It's just with his grand plan, it stopped there.
I
That's
see.
why he
So
had to lie of
that would
sleep.
explain he could rot.
Yeah, so he just had Elias planted at that one point of time to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that time stops,
I
so
see.
nothing could continue.
Like
You know,
like the
so
end
the
of a train
TVA
line or something.
so that way the TVA doesn't get too overwhelmed over its eons of constantly working.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, that's just the way I see it.
So I've been thinking about the two positions of the Loki we have in our show, Sylvie and
Hmm.
Loki, who has no other name besides Loki that I know.
New York Loki.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, New York Loki. Um, they each have a position. His position is we need the TVA in some form,
Yes.
or it's chaos, it's war, the worst of he who remains will rise to power and it'll be hell. And hers is kill all the variants of he who remains, destroy or let explode the TVA, despite being explained to that means that there won't be any timelines. Those are their two perspectives, right? Seemingly completely opposing. And I don't know who's right. I think that there must be something else, an option that we don't know yet, that
I,
neither of them see yet.
I'll just say that Sylvie, she's still apparently greatly motivated by revenge for the wrongings of her life of constantly being hunted and on the run since she was a child. So this might be, from my perspective, this might be a little something to change her viewpoint on, especially since so far she's been having things her way. TVA's going down. She killed He Who Remains. She found a peaceful timeline, and she was getting close to kill a variant of the He Who Remains.
But she did let him go.
Yes,
because
yes,
he pays attention as a very intelligent person and also a con man.
which I did really like.
I like that spin on it. He pays close attention, and he knows from the confrontation in the Ferris wheel that she values free will. So he uses that to plead for his life. That's not me. I make my own choices because he knows his audience. Smart. And he's right, too. He does make his own choices. He's not necessarily going to do the things that she has seen his variant do, or his sacred timeline version do.
Yeah.
Thoughts? How
Yes, it's
can
quite
there be
possible.
a middle ground?
I mean, it could be possible. There's a lot of variants out there. At least we'll see them that show at some point, I would think.
I mean, it brings up the question of, even if you were able to grow the loom's capacity, right?
Yeah.
So that timelines could keep branching and keep branching and keep branching. Even if you were somehow able to eliminate all of the variants and the sacred timeline version of He Who Remains, even if you were able to eliminate him, there would be somebody else. There would be somebody else terrible who would eventually come along and do awful things.
Yeah.
Can you prevent it? If not, what can you do about it? Right? Like, is killing everyone in their timeline a justification for them potentially killing countless people in multiple timelines if they take over? It's a tough question.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that Sylvie's wrong about the TVA being broken. But I don't know that it should be eliminated.
I mean, I definitely feel that it should still be around, especially with Loki there helping guide him to the truths that they need.
Now we know that Loki dies eventually, or at least
The
one
sacred
version of
timeline
him.
Loki did.
Yeah. So does the series end with him going to that end?
No, because he's from a branch timeline.
He's from Infinity War, yeah?
No, this is the one from the first Avengers, 2012, when in Endgame, when the Avengers go back in time, they altered time just enough where that Loki escaped, and then
Oh, that's the Loki who got the time cube.
yeah, the
Okay.
Tesseract, and so that's the Loki we've been following in the series.
I see.
And they vaporized that branch, so that branch is gone forever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true. That's what General Fox did.
Mm-hmm.
Pruned them all. I mean, it may have been pruned prior to her doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
What else? I love that Loki made that big tall guy whose foot he stepped on
Yeah,
dematerialize and then materialize in a cage outside.
yeah.
And Mobius just ran with it. The amazing Loki, he'll be here all week. Gotta love the humor.
Yeah,
Yeah, good stuff.
but I feel that they actually got things going in this episode. I mean, it's starting to bring stuff together. But with Renslayer and Miss Minutes off in the distant future, with their own ability to possibly time travel and also do what they will, that they definitely will be a factor later this season or in the future Marvel.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting of Sylvie to choose that for Renslayer. Like, dude, don't you know that you're just asking for trouble later?
Well, maybe she thought Renslayer couldn't come back.
Yeah. Sometimes Sylvie isn't thinking clearly, but I suppose Loki or not, we are all occasionally guilty of that.
I mean, Renslayer was the judge that sentenced her originally.
Yeah, and the ultimate bitch move. I don't remember what the Nexus event was. It's like I wish she could extract. I wish Sylvie could extract the truth from Renslayer. Know that it's true. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, right. What is that quote from? I forget.
The first Street Fighter movie.
Yes.
One of the best lines ever.
I gotta say, a B movie line that I love so much is from They Live.
Oh, yeah, great movie.
Rowdy Roddy Piper walks into a bank with a weapon
Yeah.
and chewing gum, and he says he's here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and he's all out of bubble gum. Classic.
Yeah.
So, do we know if Miss Minutes is capable of lying?
I mean, I'd say that she totally is and probably has 100 times to us already because she's a self-sentient AI that's able to self-program that's been around for eons.
It's true, but we don't know what her limitations are. I cannot think of a specific lie that she's told. I think she's careful with her wording.
Yeah, it's possible.
Because if she could lie to him.
Then again, she did say that the timekeepers back in episode 1 were the ones that brought stability to the timelines, which she very well knows is all He Who Remains, and they were robots.
True, but one could say the perception that there are timekeepers, right? Like you could justify it as not a lie, in my opinion. And the reason I bring this up is the end of the episode when she says, you know, why would any version of He Who Remains make an enemy out of somebody who knows all of his dark secrets? And by the way, she knows one about Renslayer, and it's really going to make you mad.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it is?
Probably that He Who Remains might have had her mind wiped since going back to episode 1 of season 2 when Loki heard that recording of them talking.
Does she not know that people have had their minds wiped?
She probably does. She probably doesn't remember that she had hers.
Right.
And that'll make her mad.
Yeah, maybe. I'm wondering if it's something like she was in a place of power formerly and he took it away from her. But even if that's what Miss Minutes says, how do we know it's true? We'd have to have corroboration from He Who Remains.
Yeah, I mean, it's a TV show. Just go that it's true until they say in the next episode that it isn't.
What else? Music, set, costume, setting, plot points. Yeah, I want to know what his device is. I want to know the secret that Miss Minutes is about to reveal.
What will Victor Timely do in the TVA now that he's there?
Yeah, I think he's going to want to talk to OB.
Oh yeah, yeah. That things are probably going to happen there.
Yeah.
And what about the real He Who Remains from the 31st century?
When you say real, you mean the one we know of as the sacred timeline, He Who Remains.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
mean, it could be a clone.
yeah, could be a clone, could be a descendant,
Yep.
reincarnation. Maybe Victor Timely gets shot into the future and, and works off what he knows from these adventures to start his own time travel alternate universe thing.
I'm going to say his device is a cloning device.
Mm.
That's my best guess at this point.
I don't think I could really give any guesses right now because this show has so much going on at once. Not only that, but
Yeah.
season 2, they brought in so much more. We don't know what they're going to pull out of their hat next. If it's something we've
So
seen
true.
before, doing a new thing, or something totally new that'll totally negate everything else.
I'd like to see more of B-15's character. I like her a lot.
Yeah, yeah, she's really grown over this series.
Yeah. I certainly like her better than Brad Wolf. Oof. And on that note, I look forward to the next episode.
Yes, me too. Coming out really soon.
When I can say, I saw that.
Hey, I'm going to say I saw that too.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you, sis. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.